Hi third graders, this is Mrs. Hicks. We are in my classroom this time instead of my office at my house. So today we're going to be making a really fun project and we're going to be talking about shape and then some forming using shading. So what you're going to need is a blank piece of paper that's white and some crayons or oil pastels. All right, third grade, so you should have watched the 2-minute short video on Wayne Thiebaud and why he made the artwork that he did. He's one of America's most famous artists, and so I thought this would be a great project to tie in with him. So we're gonna make a donut today. He primarily sticked with like cakes and ice cream and pies. But I thought we would stick with the donut just because the shape is a little bit easier to draw. So the donut is going to be an oval, and we're going to be putting it on a table. So we're going to be drawing a horizon line in the back, and then we're going to add some patterns to the top and the bottom. So if you don't have oil pastels at home, that's not a big deal. You guys will be getting sent home some art kits very soon. So hopefully you will have the same supplies that I do. Crayons work just as fine because it's a waxy material, but I would not use marker and I would not use colored pencil for this project. So crayons or oil pastels would be my choice of material. So just like Wayne Thiebaud, we're gonna make some shadows today, and we're gonna be kind of playing with color like how he would in his paintings. So I have some of the darker colors here, and that's what I'm going to use to outline. So you can choose the color that you would like. Black and brown are a little bit harsh, but they do make a really nice line. I think I'm going to actually go with blue, and I'm going to keep my other colors close by because we're going to be talking about them in a bit. So I'm going to start with the oval. Now we don't want the oval to be this big, but we don't want it to take up the entire piece of paper. I have a 10 by 10 piece of paper. If you only have 8 by 12, that's fine. You could cut it down to an 8 by 8 piece of paper, but you will want a little bit of a thicker piece of paper if you can, because we're gonna hopefully be able to paint this tomorrow. So what I'm gonna start with is the oval. So I'm gonna kind of try to map out how big I want it, and I don't want it to take up too much of space this way. I kind of want it to stay down in this region. So I'm gonna start with my oval. And I'm gonna curve these lines because it's gonna mimic the same type of line that is here. I'm going to connect my lines here, and I'm also going to make the little hole for the donut. So this is a pretty good size donut. Almost, I don't think it's too big, but it's erring on the side of being too big. I also can make some frosting, and maybe I would switch out my color for that. Maybe I would go with the classic pink. And I can make a wavy line that's going around here, and it kind of stops once you get up to the top. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to draw a horizon line, which is the line that separates either the wall from the table or the sun from the ground, but obviously it's inside. So I'm going to start with this line over here, and I'm going to trace over, making sure it's almost about the same. And now I have my donut sitting on a table. All right, now that we have the general form of our donut, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add some shading lines here, and then we're gonna add some patterns. So I've separated out my colors into warm, cool, and neutral colors. Warm colors are pink, red, orange, and yellow, and they make you feel like hot, like the sun. Green, blue, purple are cool colors. Those are normally colors associated with water or ice. And then we have neutral colors that don't really fit into these categories because it's like black, gray, brown, and white. So I'm gonna add some lines here to show that my donut is 3D, meaning it is a object that has height, width, and depth. It's not just a flat piece of paper like this. If you were to actually have a donut, it would totally be something you could be able to grab. So I'm gonna draw some lines, and I'm using the same color that I did for my outline. Black, I think, is just a really harsh color when you're shading. So I like to sometimes use different colors. You can also kind of start to make some shadows in here, and I'm pushing a little bit lighter. And then I'm also gonna have a shadow on the table, but I'm gonna wait to do that after I'm done with my patterns. So I have some shading going on, and now it does look like it's something you could grab with your hands. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make some patterns. So there is a worksheet that is attached to the document that you can look at for a reference point if you need help with patterns. A pattern is just something that repeats itself, and I would stick to pretty simple lines and shapes, trying not to make it too complicated because this is all about the donut, not really the background. So I'm gonna use my warm colors up here and my cool colors down here. If you want to do the opposite, that's fine, but I do want you to place some warm colors somewhere and some cool colors somewhere and keep them separated, please. That's something that I'm going to be looking for when I'm grading you this week. All right, third grade, the last thing we're gonna do is just add a quick shadow underneath the donut. So you're gonna pretend that the light is either coming from this way or from this way. So you could either have your shadow over this way or over here, but you're not gonna have it on both sides, you just are gonna pick one. So I'm going to kind of map out, and you're trying to mimic the same line that you see here, and then I'm gonna kind of color this in. You can also make your original donut line a little bit darker. And there we go. I have my shadow. So I'm just gonna re-outline here, pushing a little bit harder than I did originally, just to get that nice dark line. And we are all done for today. So if you set a timer and you didn't have time to finish your patterns, that's totally fine. I will give you time tomorrow to finish those. Just make sure that you're not spending more than 25 minutes on this, because it should be pretty short and simple. So you can always come back to it the next day. And I can't wait to make art with you guys tomorrow. I hope you had fun.